Hey everybody, and welcome to today's edition of rapidMATION Live. For those of you who have not joined us before, rapidMATION Live streams across two channels, and that's LinkedIn and YouTube. And we discuss things across four different categories. And sometimes those are live interviews, sometimes they're demos, sometimes they might be deep dives, or the ability for you, the audience, to ask a question. And the topics we cover are wide and varied, and these range from workflow automation to content intelligence to things like robotic process automation. Most importantly, if you want to keep up to date when we go live, make sure you subscribe to rapidMATION Live. And you can do that by following us on LinkedIn or subscribing to the YouTube channel. And head over to go.rapidmation.com/live and you'll get the links to everything you need there. All right, today's conversation is with a gentleman by the name of Anders Jensen, and we're going to be having a fireside chat with him. Anders is an automation teacher and YouTuber, and he's doing some amazing things in the automation community. So without further ado, let's get started. Hey everyone, today I'm extremely excited to welcome Anders Jensen to the show. Anders is currently a YouTuber, instructor, and automation teacher, and he's doing some really amazing things in the automation community. So Anders, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sean. Nice being here.
Yeah, great to have you. And thanks for joining us from Denmark this morning. What's happening in Denmark today? It's pretty early that side, isn't it?
It's 9 o'clock. I sit in my basement. As you said, I just started up my company. So I'm sitting here in this basement and trying to get the company going.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, it's the epitome of a startup community, right? In your basement, getting things going, but it looks really good. So it's really good.
Thank you. But then it's nice to have virtual meetings with people from all over the world, like you in Australia and India, USA. And I think I have meetings like in not all continents, but a lot of continents the past 2 weeks and this week. So that's nice.
Yeah. Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. Well, listen, I know that we're going to talk a lot about kind of your current journey, but just before we kind of get to that, let's take the viewers and the listeners on a bit of a journey about you and kind of where you've come from. So I know in the very early days of, I guess, your career, you started off as a professional online poker player, which I found really, really interesting, right? So let's start there. Tell us a little bit about how you became to be a professional online poker player, what you loved about it. Let's get started with that.
True. I was a professional poker player for more than 15 years. That is, we had an office. We were plus 10 poker players, online poker players, sitting next to each other in an office like you would do in your automation office. Then we helped each other and we played separately, and we were 10 or whatever number we were at the current point. We were 10 separate units, so we didn't share economy, we didn't help each other, but we sat there to have a professional network. And then I played online poker, and I quickly discovered that the more tables I could play, the more I could earn per hour. And to help me with that, I discovered automation. And at that point, it was scripting. I found a really easy language to learn from me as a non-programmer. That was also hotkey at that point. It's not really good, and today it's outdated. But back then it was great. I could do some simple data science, light data science work. I could extract emails and get my data mined hands into databases. I can arrange the tables around the screen. So simple tasks that might have helped me playing not 20 or 21 tables, but 22 or 23 tables. It might not sound a lot, but imagine that you can raise your hourly wage with 10%, and it's quite a lot if that happens every hour, every week, every month, every year. So that helped me a lot. Of course, it was not of course, but it was unstable. So once in a while it misclicked, and then it costed me some money. And so that was not a nice part of it, but that was the risk that was built in. So that was my way in. And then the poker world got overtaken by bots. That is like algorithms that can play poker perfectly. And they weren't necessarily beating me, but they beat the opposition. So instead of a casual player, I suddenly had a winning player, or a player as good as myself, or maybe just a little bit less good. And then the hourly dropped. So I figured I should do something else. And then I took a decision and took an education like at university at the age of, I think, 36, 37 years old.
Yeah.
And because I had this scripting thing going for me in the poker career. I discovered RPA. I actually did it while I played poker. That was something called win automation. It doesn't exist today, but it was a good tool. It was better than AutoHotkey to some task for sure. And then I found the UiPath Academy, and I transitioned from economy to automation.
Man, amazing. What an amazing story, right? And I guess going back to the poker playing, I mean, it was such a unique use of automation technology just to give you that little edge. And again, it's like in any professional sports, people are just looking for that little edge. And it's great to see how automation was giving you that in your professional poker playing career.
Sure. And when I say 10%, it was 10% gross, but then, there were the misclicks. You can deduct like 3%, and then there was the development time. So it maybe it was just 1 or 2, 3% it gave me, but it's still a lot in a competitive sport, which online poker is.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And what a great story, right? So then you finished your poker playing, and then you decided, okay, well, I'm losing that edge just purely because there's a lot of bots and you don't have that human element on the other side, as you said. And you headed off to university and back to school, and you stumbled across the UiPath Academy. Now, because you had that background, right, I can imagine when you came across UiPath specifically, it was just such a natural fit for you to investigate a bit more and see what UiPath could do for you.
Yeah, and I just took the academy. I took some of the certifications and just went through the courses and trying to educate myself there because I could see a lot of potential. Of course, I didn't know anything about the industry at that point, but I could see I automated some of my own tasks. That's how you usually learn the fastest. That's automating your personal stuff at home and building things. Yeah. And I can see that potential. And then I just figured I need to get into that industry. That is the future, or at least a part of the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And what an exciting journey. So then you got through school, and then I understand you went on to work for kind of different RPA or technology companies. You landed up as an RPA lead at a company. Tell us a bit about that. Like, what types of technologies did you use? What kind of customers did you get involved with?
Maybe we could rewind a bit, because when I took all these courses, I wanted to get a job, as you said, and I did get a job. But before that, I wrote, I think it was 26 or 28 applications and that was just associate jobs, like a student job. I couldn't get any job because of my background. I think it was. I don't think I'm that bad in writing applications, but I couldn't get a job. So that was a problem, because as with every job, it's very important that you get some experience, and I couldn't get in anywhere. So that was a big problem for me. And then I figured that if I made some content, like a portfolio, I could on YouTube, or at that point it was, but then I might be able to show off what I did. But then before I actually got that started, I got a nice job at a really nice place where I got paired up with a really skilled developer that has worked at one of the largest banks in Denmark, where he was the lead of their RPA program there. So he taught me a lot, and we still have the contact. And so that was my way in. And then I could take on the job and get my experience. But it was a hard way in, and imagine that a lot of your viewers might have the similar problem in getting into just the entry-level job. And what I can recommend is creating a portfolio, whether that is a YouTube channel. It doesn't have to be, but maybe a podcast like yourself. I'm sure you get a lot of people writing you because you are known in the community, or maybe just a written blog, being active on LinkedIn, something that can show off your content to potential employers. That will certainly help you a lot, and that helped me a lot.
Yeah, like such good advice, right? And
and that was not related to a question, but I just felt like we had to have that with us. But your question was what technologies I use, right?
Absolutely.
Sure. And then he, like the developer that where I got in, he taught me a lot, and we mainly or exclusively used UiPath, and then a small open source tool called OpenRPA, which is a nice person a genius that develops his own RPA tool. And we used UiPath, and the company, they provided RPA as a service, which make a ton of sense, because So we did we ran all the processes at our servers, and in that way you can utilize the licenses, which is quite a bit when you talk about the big RPA tools. So utilizing licenses. And that made us, we primarily worked, or they actually still do in that company. It's a really nice company. They work for municipalities, like government, a lot of those things where they can not copy, but they can they created one benchmark RPA process, and then they can easily go to the next municipality and tweak it a bit. And if it worked in the first place, they will talk about it. And that was the business model, which taught me a lot. Just working with customers, and I didn't have a little bit of contact, but back then it was just development.
Yeah. Mate, what a beautiful story, right? So again, I mean, I think you had some really good kind of hints and tips for the listeners and viewers, right? And I think the thing is we interview heaps of people all the time, but if you can have something where you can show what you've done or a real world example, it really, really helps. I think that's really, really good. And it's great that kind of led to you getting a good job and then getting into the industry, getting a good mentor. A mentor is always another great place that I recommend to people. Everyone needs a mentor in life, right? Someone that can help them out, that can guide them along the journey. So really, really great to see how that's played out in your career. So but then you're in this company, right? And if we come back to where you are today, you've decided to move into being a YouTuber, an instructor, and an automation teacher. So how did that come about? How did you decide to break away from this company and start up your own gig?
As I briefly mentioned, I created a YouTube channel where I wanted to make a portfolio. The first video, and then I got a job. So I actually created and then I got a job, but I continued to create these videos like just around daily problems in UiPath, either something that I need to remind myself of or something that I wanted to educate other people in my network about. And those were really bad, I tell you. The quality of them, I think I got like 20 views or something. They're still there. I kept it at my channel just because I wanted to document the journey. So you can still find them there. And so they were really bad. And then I just continued I thought it was a great medium, YouTube. And I continued to improve the quality of my videos. I made the sound better. I made the video better. I made, everything better. And maybe also the content. So I figured out what people want to know. And then I could tailor the content a bit more around that. And instead of just creating randomly content, like at the top of my head content.
Yeah.
And then people, they started to see it, and it started to grow. And I can see that I could earn money on it, not a lot, but maybe around at that point, I could see it from $100, $200 all the way up to when I quit my job, it was like $1,100. So still, you cannot make a living on $1,100 in Denmark. I think it's around, we have the same prices as in Australia or. So you cannot make a living out of 1,100, and it was way less than I earned as an RPA developer. But it was also the added benefit that I got a lot of consulting jobs through my YouTube channel. People see a UiPath problem or Power Automate problem or whatever problem I solve, and they search for it, and they see, oh, he can solve it, and then they contact me and want to get that problem solved.
Yeah.
So that is another benefit of creating your portfolio. People can see what you can do and they can contact you. And of course, as you grow, you will get more and more mails from people that wants to hire you. So then I figured that let's quit my job and go solo. So 2 legs, creating content on YouTube and doing RPA consulting, which is actually 2 things that drags in the opposite direction. I don't think it's sustainable. If I want to grow my business, it's definitely not the way to go. But as you know, we need the money for housing, food, and everything. So you need to do something that can earn you money short term, while and still your strategy is to grow your company long term. But I need some sort of some money to live off. So that's why I do it like that. And in the long run, consulting will go away, I think.
Yeah, brilliant, right? And I mean, I love the kind of the slant you've taken on it, because you've decided to document and share your whole journey of starting up your company. So tell us a bit about that. I mean, what made you decide you wanted to do that?
I think it was the easiest thing to do, and I could see it was interesting to people. Like they can know how much I earn. They can I can share the stories from the spaceman on Instagram or whatever medium I choose to share that day. Then I can tell them everything without almost no secrets. Of course, there are some things with working with clients that they say, well, Anders, you cannot share this, but generally speaking, I try to and only say yes to jobs where I can actually share what I earn and the contract, the task, and everything, because that makes great content. And the great content, that is like a snowball effect, because then more people will see what I do, and I'll get another consulting job because of that content, and then you can have the snowball effect. So I figured that it was easy, and it was nice. It made my content more interesting to people.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. I mean, I've been following your journey, and I love it, right? I mean, there's a few kind of personal finance podcasters and YouTubers that I follow, and they do very similar. And it's just awesome to be able to see behind the scenes, like, because I imagine some of your days are hard, right? You're investing time in things, maybe it's not giving you the return that you're looking for, but people really get vested in your journey and following you and wanting you to succeed. So yeah, I've certainly enjoyed it, and I'm sure there's many other people out there that have enjoyed it too.
And there's actually one more thing to it. There's also the feedback that I get from the audience. Like I do a lot of things, and running a business is not you can say that I ran my own business for 15 years plus as a poker player, but I do a lot of things. I have a lot of bad habits. I do things suboptimal that I can definitely improve. And sharing all the decisions and all the things that I go through, I got a lot of help. I don't always agree, but a lot of times I can just fix a bad habit by just reading the comments, or people contact me directly, or like speaking to you. This podcast interview might not be directly profitable for me, because I could create a video instead that will get viewed and all that. But it gives me a lot of other things. It gives me feedback from Australia. It also it grows the community, which I benefit of. The more podcasts, the more YouTube shows, that's good for me, because then the community grow and will be a place where people can actually get knowledge. They can find your podcast shown, and they can listen to that to learn things, and then they suddenly know that the RPA community is a place where you can learn from. And that is actually quite different to a lot of other communities. I think it's you can learn a lot, and you can engage a lot, you can network a lot in the RPA community. So I benefit a lot from that as well, even though it's not directly profitable.
Yeah, absolutely right. And funny, and that's the reason why we started the Automation Alliance podcast, is to kind of interview interesting people like yourself, so that the community can benefit from knowing about everything else that's happening around them. And I know that it will reap massive benefits for you. So thank you once again for having a chat with us, right?
And I'm saying thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Anders, tell me, like these social media channels that you're pushing your content out through, tell us a bit about which ones you've decided to focus on.
I think it makes most sense to focus on YouTube, because that's where my biggest audience is. At the moment, I have like 22,000 followers, which may not sound like a lot, but it's quite a lot, because it's a niche. It's a niche audience, so everyone watching my videos are those ones are probably RPA developers or business people in the industry. So it's a highly specialized audience, I would say. And so I'm on YouTube, and then on LinkedIn, and then I'm blogging a bit on Instagram stories. It's not that big yet, but it's nice to still have the contact and again the feedback from the audience, and actually. Getting that and being in touch with people. Otherwise, it can be quite lonely to sit in a basement 8 hours a day. So trying to network and still get the input from the outside world is very important to me. And to answer your question, YouTube and LinkedIn, those ones will probably be my main channels where I don't earn anything on LinkedIn, and so it's YouTube. And another thing to add is that I don't, most of my views, and that is the paid views on YouTube, which each view is, that comes through searches. Like 90% of my views come through searches. 10% comes through people saying, oh, we know Anders, we want to watch this video, or through a link, if say that there's a link in the podcast or something. And that also means that people search for a problem, like how to use Orchestrator and UiPath. then I'm in the top of the searches. They click my video, watch it, but then they're gone right after. And it also means that I need to optimize through searches and the content itself, and not so much on posting links on LinkedIn or doing all these things, because I don't get a lot of views through that. So that's part of the company strategy, or it should be. I think I spend a little bit too long on social media, but that's another story. That's also to be in contact with the world. But so being active on YouTube should and is my main priority, I would say.
Yeah, brilliant, right? And such great insights you've shared, because I'm sure there's many people that might listen to this or watch it, and they want to know, like, how do they go part of the journey, and where should they start, where should they focus? So I think that's been brilliant to share, right? But now,
and I think, sorry, if Sean, if you're saying that where to start, I think the best way is just to get started. As with everything else, my videos were really, really bad from the sound perspective, the video, and well, just get started, you will improve. And believe me, you will learn a lot. Instead of just making the perfect product and then going to market, it will take you a lot of years to reach that point. So that'll be my advice, just to get started with creating the content that you want.
Yeah, absolutely, right. Absolutely. And tell me, so, I mean, obviously there's lots of things that you can talk about and create content around. I mean, how do you decide? I mean, I know you do a little bit of UiPath and Power Automate. There's many different things you cover on your channel. How do you decide what to prioritize and what things you're going to actually publish out for the audience?
From an early start, do you mean how much I share from my company, or do you just mean how I find my topics in general?
How you find your topics and how you decide, hey, I might do automation anyway today, or I might do something else.
First of all, I didn't want to be like a one-trick pony, like a person that could only do one tool, because that has a built-in danger. And then let's say that I chose UiPath, which I think 50-60% of my content is UiPath. And I'm a UiPath most valued professional, so that might have been the most obvious decision to take. But that will also make me a one-trick pony, meaning that I can only do UiPath content. And if I want to do collaborations with brands, I have some brands like Pixie Bricks. Or sorry, that was I'm sponsored by them, so I need to mention. But no. So they contacted me and said, "Can you do some educational stuff for us and show our product to your audience, and then you can earn some money?" But imagine that I only made UiPath content. It would be a lot harder for companies contacting me and seeing their product at my site, because it was such a specific channel. So it's a taking decision that I wanted to make a variety of tools, and also because I'm curious. I love to see, as you say, automation anywhere, Power Automate, the open source tool like Robocop, OpenAPI, and so a lot of leap work. I touched AutoHotkey because I wanted to do a revival at my poker career, and that's actually my most viewed videos. That's 12 minutes of AutoHotkey with terrible sound, but there's a lot of Minecrafters and the likes that find this video, and I think it got like, that's my most viewed video and the video that earned me the most. So that's really funny.
Right, amazing, right? And my next question is actually going to be, what has been your most successful piece of content? But it's been AutoKey purely because of kind of some of the. It's funny, right?
It's an awful video, and then there's also, I think, UiPath and Power Automate. Those ones are on top. That's two big tools. But if we can actually separate those, because UiPath is quite big in India, whereas Power Automate is big in US, Europe, Australia, I could imagine. Yeah. And there's actually YouTube pay you money to the ads that they can put on your videos, and showing an ad in India where the buying power is less than, for example, Australia. That means that they can charge less from the companies that put the ads on, and that also means that they because YouTube share 50% around what they get, that they give to me, and that also means that if my videos gets views in India relative to Australia, I earn around 30 times less. So, and that's another decision where, so you can see that if Power Automate is popular in Australia and UiPath is popular in India, I could make more money going with the Power Automate, because that will be targeted to people with more buying power. But I chose not to, at least for the moment, because I'm just familiar with UiPath. It's so easy for me to make good content there. I'm an expert user, and so that is easy. But it's also something that you can think of, that where is my content getting seen, and could I optimize to audiences with a bigger buying power?
Yeah. Amazing, right? Amazing. And what we'll do is we'll drop in the show notes, we'll drop in some of those channels, just in case people want to come check out your YouTube channel and that type of thing. They can link up with you, and obviously follow you on LinkedIn. I know you've started Discord very recently as well. How's your Discord kind of, how's that all going?
I wanted a community where I could set the rules, maybe set the rules a bit, instead of making a community on LinkedIn, Facebook, or where the companies, they have your audience or your data. I wanted a place where we could just set the rules as I wanted, and that is just everyone can join for free, and people can help each other, and we can kick out the people that are spamming us and stuff like that. But the Discord is actually self-driven. I try to make one answer at least to an RPA problem. And let's mention what Discord is. Discord is something like Teams or Slack, if you know that. It's a social media where people can join, and they can join my channel, or if Sean here makes a channel, you viewer could join his channel. And then we can talk about a specific topic, like the channel's topic. And the topic of my channel is RPA. And so we discuss RPA, like solve problems through all a wide variety of tools. So we have a lot of developers. We are 1,600 now, but we solve the problems, and then we just network and talk about our careers, and maybe just talk about what we ate for dinner, or just an off-topic chat, like, from communities where you suddenly you feel like you know each other, and we do that. And it also has the benefit that I get closer to my audience again, because going back to creating the technical content where people only search for my content and then they're gone, this makes me closer to the RPA developers that I'm creating content to. So that is also a huge benefit for me, I would say. So I don't earn any money at Discord. It costs me money to have it, but I think the engagement is really, really nice.
Yeah, brilliant, right? And Discord has become really, really popular. Like, there's many communities that I'm a part of. So yeah, I would hope that it gets really big for you. And it's a great way, as you say, to connect to your audience. So awesome. But now, Anders, I know that your business is already growing. I understand you brought someone else onto the business. Is that correct?
Yeah. On Tuesday, I got a new colleague joining in. You could say that, that was as a bold decision, because I only earned, I think it was around $5,000-6,000 last month. But now I'm hiring another person, and she's starting on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Are you fishing for something else?
No, all good. Yeah. So that's
so related to the story, I had my wife. We took an active decision of going all in this together. She is in the RPA industry as well, on a manager level, and so she's good at all the things that I'm not good at, like handling the administration, making sure that things are getting done, and getting done in the right order, and getting done to time, or maybe 2 days before they need to be done. I'm good at. I'm really creative and technical, but I'm not good at handling all this administration, and it annoys me a lot to look at the Outlook here behind me, the inbox, and talking to people, not talking to people, but making arrangement with people and making sure that everything is okay. That really annoys me, and I'm really bad at it. So yeah, we made a decision that she would join the company, and we will see how it goes. To be honest, the expected income for the next couple of months are not good, but that's okay. We can see the company can join, and There's also another thing that we will have it better in our family. We'll have more time together, more time to our son. We can take days off if we want. We're not dependent on a boss or a company telling us what to do. We can do exactly the things we do. So it's a bit of a journey, I would say. Like, imagine that you and your family took 1 year out of the calendar and traveled around the world. You can say this is our travel around the world doing this. So starting the company, that will be really, really nice. And I'm looking forward to Tuesday. It's Thursday today. So in 4 days, we are together. And that will be nice. But we're not sitting here down in this basement. She will have the nice office up in our house. And I'll be sitting here because working that closely together and still be married and all that, that will be too much, I think.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's exciting that the business is growing, and we're wishing you both all the best success in the coming months, right? So that's really good. Now, so obviously having a small business, right? Like the main thing is time. Like there's so many things I imagine you might want to do, but you need to pick and choose where you're going to spend the most time. So how do you decide that? How do you decide kind of which topics or things, or maybe even doing an interview with me? Like, how do you decide where you're going to spend your time?
Randomly. And that's where no, not completely randomly, but definitely not. I don't prioritize the best way, and that's actually again a thing that my wife can help me with, finding out which thing we should focus on and going directly after those. So not so much I can present her for the 10 things that I want to focus on in the company, and she's really good at taking the most important, making sure that we're doing that one, and then we can take the next one, or maybe doing the 3 most important and then none. So I think a bit too randomly, I would say that it has been the 2 first months, and that's just the nature of it. I'm not good at that, so yeah. And actually, I shared a bit of that in post on LinkedIn, and people have been a tremendous help to me, that they all wanted to give me feedback and help me, and with the things that I'm not good at. So that has been really nice.
Yeah, brilliant. And now if we look a little bit into the future, right, where would you hope you would be maybe 6 months, a year from now? What's some of the goals or dreams that you have for the business?
I haven't written it out, but I think we will do it next week. But I think in after summer, I will say 100,000 followers on YouTube, even though it's not a measurement of profit or anything, but that will be the channel size that I think we can have and we should have. And then earning, if we're not earning money in half a year and a year, then it's really critical. I would say, and when I say earning money, and at a level where we can afford things and not be. Of course, we have savings, so we're not going to the street, but we're not afraid. We know there's a risk in this, and we know that there's a risk of failure, and we're not afraid to go back to our jobs in 1 year if it doesn't work out. We don't think so. We do this because we think it's profitable, both in terms of money and in terms of our times. We spend our times a little bit better. That makes the 2 of us happier. But we know that there's a risk of failure, and that's also something that I share in the content, and it's nice to talk about that. And it's not, imagine that we opened for example, a clothing store. Then we would need to rent the house that they're in and the shop, and we need to have a stock that's also cost a lot of money. Here, the only cost for us, that is our salary that we are not getting paid in our job because we quit our job. So that makes it a bit easier. Of course, that's a lot of money to IT salaries, but it's still something that we will definitely do, and something that we believe in. So it's not like just randomly that we think that this, let's see if it works. Of course we think it works, and in the long run.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. Well, we're wishing you nothing but success on the journey, right? And we'll be following you along, and we'll be cheering you on. So I encourage all the listeners and the viewers to have a look at some of your content, subscribe to the YouTube channel, definitely jump on your website, have a chat to you that way. But just before we say goodbye today, we normally kind of finish off with what we call the hot seat, right? So the hot seat is where we fire off some very quick questions, just so the audience can get to know you a little bit better as well. So the first question I have for you, Anders, is what did you want to be when you grew up?
When I grew up?
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great question. I think I wanted to be a programmer, to be honest.
Awesome.
My father Yeah, my father was a programmer, or he was a database administrator. So we grew up with computers all the way from, yeah, as long as I can imagine. We had these old school computers. We had a room full of computers and a mess, but that was a really nice, as you can imagine, as a kid, it was a really nice room to be in with your dad, and you could sit and play some really simple games. And he was working, and you just sat there and just so that was something that I could see was really, really interesting. But I actually never learned to code, even though he tried to convince me that I should. But it was not like that he forced me anything. But so it was actually, so it was way later in the career, like a bit of scripting at the poker career, and then I taught myself to code at least at some level later on. So that was programmer. That was the answer to your question.
Yeah, brilliant. So next question is, what is something on your bucket list that you have already done?
That is going solo, like quitting my job. I would say that was a big dream, and that was something that I think that I would regret in 10 years if I didn't try it or pursue that dream.
Brilliant, right? Brilliant. And let's ask the opposite of that. So what is something on your bucket list that you haven't done just yet?
Interview Daniel Dines, the CEO of UiPath.
That is.
Have you interviewed him in your podcast, Sean?
So I've not interviewed Daniel. I interviewed Guy Kirkwood many times. Guy was the chief evangelist for UiPath. He's moved on. He's followed an interesting journey, and he's doing some pretty advanced farming in the UK. But I have met Daniel Dines, and I met him at UiPath Forward 2 or 3 years ago. And I've actually got a photo with him. So we were having a beer in a pub, and he popped up behind us, and he came and sat down, and he had a beer with us. So great guy. I look forward to hearing you interview him, because he's a really, really nice guy.
Nice. Thank you, Sean.
Awesome.
And if I mention it like 10 times, maybe he will hear it one day, and then he will consider it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, maybe send him an email, ping him on LinkedIn, see what he has to say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. 2 final questions. Are you reading anything at the moment? Like, do you have a good book that you would recommend people read? What's been on your reading list?
I read a lot, Sean, and I try to read is it called crime? Not so fiction, but crime. And I can't really recommend you one, because I forget them as soon. The minute after I read them, I forget. I read them every night just to think of something else. Otherwise, it can be quite. You think about the company and how you can do that better. And then there's my family. My son comes home. It's him. And then it's just to completely think of something else. I read these fiction, the crime fiction books, which is highly entertaining, but it's not something that gets, it doesn't get stuck. So it's like seeing television and then relaxing. So I cannot really recommend you a good book in that way, and most of them are Danish books, and which you might not have in Australia still. So no, I cannot do that, but I read a lot.
Brilliant. Okay, good. And final question, Anders, how do you want to be remembered?
I think there's someone who helped people, and someone that is transparent. I think that's the 2 values that I'll be remembered from. But that's at the community. I think if you're asking family wise or the nearer relation, then just a nice guy that is full of integrity. I will say that would be the main values there.
Yeah.
And brilliant. That's of course also important to be in the community, but helpful and transparent in community, I would say.
Yeah, mate. Well, let me tell you, you're doing a great job at all of that, right? Because what you're doing in the community is amazing. I know many people are finding great value in it. I really appreciate you taking the time just to share a bit with the listeners and the viewers today. So yeah, as I said, we're wishing you nothing but success in your journey. We look forward to following you. And hey, maybe in a year's time from now, we'll do another one of these, and we'll talk about the time that you interviewed Daniel Dines.
Sure. Thanks for having me here, Sean. It's really appreciated.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Anders, and we'll speak to you soon.
See you.
Bye-bye. What an awesome interview, and we really appreciated your time, Anders. For those of you who want to reach out to Anders or go watch some of his great content, head over to his YouTube channel at youtube.com/c/Anders Jensen org, or connect with him on LinkedIn, or even follow him on Twitter at twitter.com/Anders Jensen org. All right, that's it for today. And if you have any questions on anything we've covered today, feel free to drop us a note on hello@rapidmation.com. And don't forget to subscribe to rapidMATION Live and head over to go.rapidmation.com/live.